Hey everyone, it's Lizzie and welcome back to my channel. Today is another paycheck budget video for you guys to follow along and hopefully be inspired to continue on your financial freedom journey. So if you guys are interested in seeing my current paycheck budget, then keep on watching. So the first thing that I like to do when I set up my budget is to figure out what bills are coming due. And the best way that I simplify it for myself is utilizing my bill tracker, which is this worksheet right here. And how I like to break things down is to list out all of the bills that I have coming due for the month, what are my fixed expenses, and also things that may be variable. And you can list all of these here. So right now, all I have are my fixed expenses, the things that I know are coming out every single month and I know the dollar amount. And then I'll figure out what that amount due is. And then on the top, I factor in the dates that we get paid. So I break things down paycheck to paycheck. This is the best way that I do my budgeting, and it really has made such a big impact on our finances when I did this tool, when I created this tool for myself. So we are looking at the 15th of the month. I clearly see what bills I have to set aside for this particular paycheck, and then it allows me to figure out how much I am left with to factor into different cash envelopes. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this part off, and we're going to start on our paycheck budget worksheet. So we're gonna go ahead and get started filling out my paycheck budget. So sorry, I have to turn the page just slightly, so hopefully you guys can still see it pretty well. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get started filling this out. So today is I'm filming this the 14th, but I received what my paycheck will be. So we're just gonna go ahead and just figure out how we're breaking down that particular paycheck. Now, this week we did use everything that was in our account. I think it was just like a few cents that was left over, so I'm just gonna leave this part blank and I'm just gonna break down my actual paycheck budget. So the amount that we are breaking down for the income is $946.92. So if you do have a beginning balance like I do most times, you will go ahead and just write that beginning balance right here, and you will add these two together and it will give you what your total income is to break down for your budget. So now this is something that I have been doing for, I want to say, a few months now, and it's the 80-20 rule. So I explained this a little bit in the last paycheck budget, but I want to share it again in case you guys missed it. So what I have found is that I never knew when I first started budgeting, I didn't know what I should be setting aside for specific categories, like my cash envelopes, how much I should be setting aside for savings and whatnot. And I got this from Jordan Page, and she shares to live off of 70% of what your income is. So that includes, any major expenses, any spending. It should be 70%. That's the goal. I cannot live on 70% of my income. That is not a reality for us. And at this day and age, at this point in time when I'm filming this, it's just not doable. So you have to figure out what is realistic for you. So what's realistic for us is we can strive to do 80%. 80% seems doable. And that's our goal, to live with less payments as possible. And so 80% is our best bet, and we have been working towards that. So when we look at $946.92, that's really not a whole lot, I have to be honest. We just got new health insurance, so my premium has gone up because it's a better insurance, and we know that it's gonna put a damper on our income because I think we're gonna be paying out in premiums. It is close to $200 less a month that we're gonna be receiving in income. So we have to figure things out, but we can still work towards our goals. And here is what we are currently doing and what our current goal is. So we're gonna take $946.92 and we're gonna divide that by the 10%. So that is what I always do right off the bat. No matter how much or little I make, I will always give 10% as my tithe. So 10% of 946.92 is $94.70. So I'm just gonna round this up to $95, just to make things a little bit easy for me when I break down my budget. And now the total offering for this is $10. And let me show you why this is. So I'm looking at the 15th of the month. And as I mentioned before, we give to a ministry, and I broke this up 10 and 10. So I set aside $10 last week, and then this week we're setting aside another $10. And this is just something that comes out automatic from our bank account, and it's something that we've committed to. So that's where the $10 offering goes. So this is what we're budgeting for this month. So the total giving for this is $105. So that's 10%. Now let's figure out what is the 80% of what the income is. So 946.92 times 80%. This is what we are going to be living off of. So this is that goal, right, of what we plan on paying out for any expenses for this from this particular paycheck, and any like spending, so for my cash envelopes. Now keep in mind, depending upon what time you get paid, so sometimes a lot of my bills get taken out in the beginning of the month. So the first paycheck of the month, it may not be realistic for me to do this 80-20 because all of the bills really get debited in the beginning of the month. It may not work out each time, but this is the goal. And I think that using percentages instead of actual dollar amounts, it works out for anyone's income. And hopefully, if you've tried it out, let me know how the 80-20 is working for you and your household. Does this work for you? It has been working for us, and I'm really liking to know how much we can set aside for specific things. So we have $757.54 is 80% of what our particular income was for this paycheck. I'm gonna leave this calculator up with that number off to the side so we can see how close are we to that 80% goal. Now let me go ahead and bring over our bill tracker. So looking at the bill tracker worksheet, I have everything written up of what we are going to be setting aside for. Keep in mind, I've already set aside for the ministry. I put a check mark there. So the first thing that is on my list is our mortgage. That gets deducted on the first of the month, but I do pay it on the 15th. So I do pay it a bit late, but it's not considered late. Right now we are trying to figure things out with our home. If you watch our live with my husband, we shared some pretty alarming information on there, so be sure to check that out to figure out what I'm talking about. But there's a few things that we want to figure out when it comes to our home. So yeah, hopefully this will change. But our mortgage that we're setting aside for this paycheck is $368.31. I'm gonna go ahead and make a check mark next to that. The next thing that we have is our credit card. So let me do credit card. And on here it says it is $33.50. Then we have a life insurance that's being deducted. That is $12.70. The next thing is our phone, and it is $24.05. And we have our Disney Plus. Anybody have Disney Plus out there? I am seriously loving Disney Plus. I have been like watching That's So Raven. They have Boy Meets World. They have so many things. I just finished watching Avatar. So yeah, I am loving it. And then we have our electric bill, and that is $20.17 that we're setting aside. The last item on here is our HOA, and we're setting aside $12.75. Now, I did get a question about what do I mean by setting aside. So all of these here, all of these expenses, I set aside in my bank account. So that means I just leave the money in my bank account. And now how do I know not to use these dollars? Well, I have a checkbook register app on my phone, and it literally, I just put in minus what I'm subtracting, just like any other old school checkbook register. So I put in the dollar amount that I am setting aside for what specific category. So for example, on my checkbook register for this day, I have mortgage and I subtract $368.31. And then on my checkbook register app, it will give me an available balance on my checkbook register. So I look at that particular available balance, and I'll see if I can show a screenshot of what mine looks like right now, of what it entails. And it has really been super helpful. And this is what I've been doing, oh my gosh, since I started getting paid. I've always used an app similar to this to know what bills are coming due, and I will automatically go into my checkbook register app and I will deduct that amount so I know not to spend that money. So any auto debits, anything that you have on bill pay that's a recurring transaction, you want to make sure that you write that in on your checkbook register so that you know not to spend that money. So that's how I work my budget. This is how I've always done it, and it works for me. So let me know how you guys like separate your expenses. Do you withdraw all of the money and then when it comes due you deposit it? I don't know, I think that that's too much work. So I'm just leaving it in my bank account and I'm just not touching it until it comes due. I know it's gonna get paid automatically. So I've gotten all of my bills that are coming out automatically written up in here. But now we have to think about what are those variable expenses. So you're thinking about, like for me, it's SunPass. So that's the first thing is SunPass. And we're gonna pay $20 for that. And then gas, we are going to be setting aside $90 for gas. So this is what my expenses look like for this paycheck. These are all of the fixed and the little variable expenses. And now I'm gonna go ahead and just add this up. $588.47. This is the total expenses for this column. So now let's see how much we are left with. What's remaining in the budget? So $946.92. We're gonna subtract the total giving, and then we're gonna subtract the $588.47. Okay, so that leaves us with a remaining balance of $253.44. So now back to the 80%. So you may be asking yourself, well, Lizzie, you just told us 80% of what you make is what you should be setting aside. So what do we do with the difference? This is the answer to that question. And this is why I love the 80% rule, the 80-20 rule. So again, we're gonna figure out what the 80% was because it cleared out on my calculator. So $946.92, and we're gonna figure out what 80% is. $757.54. So we're gonna subtract what our expenses, what the bills that are being debited from our account are, fixed and variable. We're gonna subtract that amount, $588.47. So that gives us this dollar amount. So we have $169 to put into cash envelopes. So you don't have to use the full $160 or whatever dollar amount that you have left over. You don't need to use all of that in your expenses. Obviously, I'm gonna put groceries up here, so I know it's gonna be deducted from this amount. But if you have like a big amount left over after you've done the 80% of your expenses, 80% of your income, you don't have to set everything aside for cash envelopes. If you feel that, you know what, you don't need to put anything to spending, or you don't want to set money aside for eating out because you're doing challenge weeks, then don't do it. It's perfectly fine. Do whatever works for your family and whatever is working towards your goals. My husband and I, we have specific goals. We have specific challenges that we want to meet. One of them that's pretty major is Christmas for 2020. We want to be able to give gifts this year and not have to worry about not having enough money to give gifts to everyone that we love. That is my love language. I love to give gifts. And this year, it was a little bit challenging for us, and we had to be creative on how we gave gifts this year. And I will be sharing that in a future video on our gift giving. So be sure to be subscribed and ring the bell so that you won't miss out on that, because I'm really excited to share with you guys what we did for Christmas for our family. But $169 is what we have to set aside for specific cash envelopes. And these are the envelopes that we are going to be stuffing from this paycheck. Is grocery, obviously, because I have to eat. In grocery, we always set aside $75. Now, in case you are new, because I've gotten a lot of subscribers joining my family, which I'm so happy and welcome if I have not welcomed you already. But I follow the Jordan Page formula of our grocery budget. And that is setting aside $100 per person in your household, starting at $300. So if there's 2 people in your household, you set aside $300 for groceries. If there's 3 people in your family, you set aside $300 for groceries. So you following me? So that's something that she recommends. And she says, break things down in small increments. So focus on the weeks. Break your grocery budget into weekly blocks. So for us, it's setting aside $75 each week. Now, obviously, this month, we're fortunate that we are getting a paycheck every week. So each of us, so my husband, he gets paid twice a month now. He gets paid bi-weekly, and I get paid bi-monthly. So the way that our pays land, we're able to just set aside $75. Now, if my paycheck landed the same week as my husband, then we would set aside for 2 weeks. So we would set aside $150. So I hope that I explained that correctly. So grocery, right off the bat, we're setting aside $75. So I'm going to go ahead and just deduct that from my calculator. So that leaves us with $94 left that we still should budget for to be within that 80%. What are we going to be setting aside? We want to plan for our anniversary coming in September. We don't know what we're doing yet. Oh, hello. Can I spell anniversary? We don't know what we're doing yet, but it's nice to have just something set aside so that when it gets close, we can figure out what we're going to be doing. And we're just starting small for this. So $20 is what we've budgeted for. Christmas is another one. And using our savings challenge for 2020 from the Budget Mom, she has a worksheet in here that you can calculate what your total budget is for going Christmas shopping. $11.55 is what our total budget is for Christmas. So we want to have it before Christmas, obviously. That's setting aside $105 each month. And down here, I put that there's 46 pays until December. I wrote this out before January began. And it's setting aside $26 each paycheck. So I put $27 for Christmas from this paycheck, which is okay. And then the next item is medical. This is to cover any co-pays, which I will be having co-pays, and I will be going to the doctor quite a bit this year. So I want to make sure that I have this factored into my budget just to give us a little bit of a cushion. And then pet, we're setting aside $30. And then vacation. Again, vacation, this is something where we are now planning on doing like little mini trips. And what this is just like figuring out what Florida is all about. We want to be able to explore Florida because all we've been doing this past year is just going to Disney. We had Disney annual passes and that's all we did. And we loved it, but we want to try something new for this year. And it's really just having experiences and just getting to know Florida and traveling locally. So that's what this vacation fund is. So 75 plus 20 plus 27 plus 10 plus 30 plus 20. So 182 is our total cash. So we're going to take what the 80% was, 946, 92 times 80. And then we're going to subtract the 588.47. So 169 is what is to stay within our 80% rule, right? So obviously we've decided that we want to go over just a bit, and that really is because we want to save for Christmas. So it's not our spending. We don't consider Christmas spending money or anniversary spending money. So these are our sinking funds. And so I feel that $182 is perfectly fine for us to be within that dollar amount. So again, 80-20, it's really just like a guide for you. Challenge yourself to be within that, like we are doing, but again, know what your personal goals are for your family and whatever works for you guys. So let's see what we are left with. So we had $253.44, and we're putting in $182 set aside for our cash. There's still $71.44 left over. So one thing that we are now doing, and it's been really helpful for us, is to incorporate a checking account cushion. The past couple of times I was writing cushion in over here, but cushion is really not an expense. A cushion is something that I want to figure out what is remaining, and then I'll know how much I can possibly have as a checking account cushion in case any of these bills or an unexpected item were to come through. I will have this to fall back on instead of pulling from like my emergency fund or, taking it from one of my cash envelopes. So I'm just gonna put it in the notes section here of my planner, and I'm just gonna say that we're doing a cushion of $20 is what we decided that we were gonna leave in our checking account. So I'm gonna go ahead and minus $20. So that leaves us with $51.44. So you still wanna give every dollar a job. So now the last two categories. So right now, unfortunately, we're still not setting any extra aside for debt because we had used our emergency fund, and the minimum for emergency fund is $1,000. So we are very, very close to funding that starter emergency fund back up again. So we put this on pause, but anything extra, we're gonna put it towards our emergency fund again and then continue on paying off our debt. So I feel like I keep saying that in every one of my videos. You all are probably like, why aren't you paying off debt? Why aren't you paying off debt? Well, we follow the Dave Ramsey method, and he has helped tens of thousands of people get out of debt. He's gotten out of debt himself. So I want to listen to somebody like that because obviously he knows what he's talking about. So that's what we have been doing. But this is what our paycheck budget looks like. And now I have to plan on what we are going to be withdrawing tomorrow when I receive the pay. And so that's what this breakdown of the cash denominations is. So let me go ahead and zoom you guys in just a bit so you guys can see. So we're first going to set aside for our tithe, and tithe I do withdraw cash for, and that's $95. So we're going to set aside, we are going to set aside $150. So that's 50, 70, 90, 95. Grocery gets 50, 75. Anniversary gets 20. Christmas gets 20, 25, 26, 27. Medical gets 10. Pet gets 20, 30. And then vacation gets 20. So that is 2 50s, 7 20s, 2 10s, 3 5s, and 2 singles for my cash for this budget. So now tomorrow I'll go ahead and head on over to the bank, grab my specific denominations, and I will be right back to stuff my cash envelopes. All right, so I have gone to the bank. I withdrew all of the cash that I needed in the specific denominations that I needed. And we're gonna go ahead and just stuff these cash envelopes. So the first one that I'm going to stuff is my tithe, which I've set aside here, $95, and that goes in this giving envelope. So we're gonna take the 95, 90, and 95, and this is just gonna go in that envelope until I go to church. And now we're gonna go ahead and move on to these cash envelopes. Some of these go in my wallet, which is right here, and then others are in these envelopes that are laminated over here. Now everything that I use, my envelopes, my planner, all of that, if you're interested in finding out where I get it, it's always in the description box down below. That's one of my frequently asked questions of where I get my items. So that's where you can find everything that I use. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up my wallet, and we're gonna stuff the grocery envelope, which gets $75 a week. So 50, 70, and 75. And I'm gonna go ahead and write in on this little tracker, if I can get the pen out. So it's the 15th today, and I'm just gonna put plus 75. So I know that there's $75 in this envelope now. Okay, so that I'm gonna set aside here. And anniversary, it's in this envelope. It's getting $20. So I'm gonna go ahead and write this in my tracker. $20, so there should be $38 in here. So 20, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38. Okay, so it's not a whole lot being set aside, but every little bit counts to reach your goals. So now this next one is Christmas. And Christmas, I have that in a completely different place. And that's this binder here for my savings challenges from the Budget Mom for 2020. And that goes in this envelope here, my Christmas envelope. So we are setting aside $27 per my paycheck budget. So let me take out this, and we're gonna go ahead and write in today's date, and we're adding in $27. So there's currently 47 in here. So adding 27 gives me $74, right? 47 plus 27, yep, okay. So I have $74 that's going to be in my my Christmas envelope. So let me go ahead and grab the bills. 25, 27. Now let me just organize this. So 20, 40, 60, 65, 70, 71, 72, 73, and 74. All right, I'm just going to put this back in here. Now continuing on down through my cash envelopes, we have our medical that we're setting aside $10 because we have to save for our upcoming appointments. I have an appointment scheduled for this Friday. It's an HSG appointment. And if you don't know what that is, which I can't even tell you what the term is, it's where I am going to have an x-ray done of my fallopian tubes, where they'll see what may be causing us to have difficulty getting pregnant. We're continuing on being examined. We started in New York, but because of our move to Florida, it kind of halted our whole progress of what we were being diagnosed with. And now is the time where we want to continue on that journey of growing our family. And thank you to everyone, seriously, who has been reaching out, sending me DMs. You have no idea how encouraging your words are. When I wake up in the morning and I see that I have a message, I will go ahead and check it. And the love and your testimonies and all of that has really, really been such a blessing for me, and really uplifting. So I wanted to thank you guys so much for reaching out. So, okay, moving on, our cash envelopes, we have pet that we're setting money aside for because I have to buy our dogs food, and they are getting $30 from this paycheck. So I have my $30 here, and let me just write it in on this little tracker. So 115, and we're adding 30, so they currently have 60 in here, which is great, and that will last them for the rest of the month. So we don't have to worry too much about having enough food for them. All right, let me put this pen back in here. So everything is good in my wallet. I don't have to stuff anything more, but we still have one more cash envelope left to stuff, and that's the vacation, which is getting $20. So there's a total of $40 in the vacation. So that is everything for today's paycheck budget video. I hope you guys are inspired. You have a new understanding of a simple way to break down your budget. It does not have to be complicated at all. It just needs to make sense for you and for your family and your household. So not everyone's budget is identical. All of our budgets are different. So really, ultimately, it's just about setting goals and making realistic goals to achieve your financial freedom journey. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in a brand new video. Bye guys.